What's up, y'all? It's your dude Born Shining here. I'm Born Shining. You're Born Shining. We're all born shining. And don't let them tell you otherwise. And if they do try, tell them to fuck off. Alright, so I want to give a shout out to the Great Spirit which moves through all things, the universal life force, the great creator, Ra, archangels, ascended masters, spirit guides, spirit animals, crossover loved ones, all the invisible helpers, and all my friends, known and unknown, seen and unseen. And this video, just gonna talk real quick about, I'm working right now, so I'm taking a little break. And already, there's just so much stuff to talk about. The place that I work, it's a grocery store. And it's just crazy what people buy, you know? And it's funny, like, that's how you know that people are asleep, is how they spend their money, and then like what they complain about, you know. And it's like, these people, they buying sodas, and then they want people to feel bad for them that they have diabetes. And on another finger, they're complaining about prices going up and all the things that are happening in the world, yet they keep giving their money to these people, these corporations, these companies. Like, it's just crazy that people can't make the connection. Well, it's not really surprising, because when you go through school, most people don't learn anything in school that they use in their life except maybe math, but you definitely don't learn how the government works. I remember being in high school when we talked about economics. They call it the invisible hand of market economics, but it's not invisible if you really look at it. There's, they make it appear that it's invisible. But anyway, yeah, with all the food prices going up, food prices aren't going up because things are becoming more expensive. Food prices are going up because the value of the dollar is worthless. I do my best to ignore the news, and I admit I probably should do a better job of um, following what these people are doing. But it comes out anyways. You can't really get around it. Even if you try to ignore it, you're still going to hear something about it from the people you work with, or in passing or whatever. So I know that the president, if I don't even want to call him that, dude Biden, just passed this thing with the Inflation Reduction Act, which, if you don't know already, everything these people do is the opposite of what they call it. So the Inflation Reduction Act is actually increasing inflation. And why is that? It's because when you print more money and you give people money, that, you're just printing more money, then, it's simple supply and demand, simple supply and demand. If there's more dollars in circulation, then the value of each dollar becomes less and less. So, yeah. So the way to solve that is to have some kind of currency that's pegged to, I don't know, a metal, gold, um, or some other asset that has a fixed price. So, and if you look, when we got off the gold standard, the price of everything started skyrocketing because the value of the dollar started dropping, because they could just print and print and print. And they even have now the fractional reserve banking system, which means that banks only need to have 10% of assets on hand. So that means, I think I talked about this before, if you put 1,000, or let's just even smaller than that. If you put, for every $10 you put in the bank, they're able to loan out the other $9. They only need to keep the $1 on hand. So the whole system is designed to be screwy, and yeah, it's kind of wacky. So I mean, it's just, to me, it's knowing all of this stuff, when people start complaining about the food prices, it's really the Federal Reserve. It's not the price of food, because I mean, what changes? Like, is a loaf of bread become more worth more all of a sudden, or or what? No. And so yeah, I mean, and easily the solution is to reclaim control over printing and minting, and take the Fed out. I mean, the Federal Reserve's a bunch of criminals who have no business with their hand in the pot, as it were. And all of these people in Congress who play along with this charade, I mean, that should be the first thing. That should be the litmus test for the politicians that we elect is, are they talking about the Federal Reserve and how criminal that is? Are they talking about how criminal the IRS is? Are they talking about how nobody in Congress should hold a title? Are they talking about all these things? Because if not, they shouldn't even be considered to run for office. Um, and then on another note, you know, um, I guess more so doing with the title that I wanted to make it this video, is that when you realize that you're indestructible, you become uncorruptible. And by that I mean, when you realize that you can't be destroyed, I mean, even spiritually, energy is can't be destroyed. It can only change form. So I mean, even if your body gets taken out, like, you're not going anywhere. Like, people need to stop being afraid of death, because that's not really the end, as we've been taught. So, but when you realize that you're indestructible, you realize that you're uncorruptible. Like, you can't be paid enough to do things that are going to cause harm, or that are a part of a broken system, because that you'll figure it out and you can make it happen. And honestly, it's not worth it. It's not worth the money. I mean, I see people doing jobs and performing roles in society that, yeah, they get paid a lot of money and they might seem like prestigious jobs, but when you look at what they do and the impact that they have on the community, I wouldn't call that prestigious. I would just call that, this person is smart enough to pursue, like, let's say a doctor, 8 to 10 more years of school to position themselves in a society that values people who sell drugs, pharmaceuticals. If you're wearing a white coat and you're selling drugs, then that's a whole different ball game than if you're, you know, walking around on the street wearing a flannel selling street drugs. You know what I'm saying? So, but really, in effect, it's all the same. I mean, one is just a state sponsored drug dealer, and one is not. And I mean, arguably, even the people on the street, I mean, those drugs got to come from somewhere. you know I mean, there's been plenty of stories about the DEA smuggling drugs and guns and all of this kind of stuff. So, or ATF, excuse me. So I mean, it's really all the same. you know and so when you become indestructible and you realize that you're just not going to tolerate participating in any of these things, you realize that, like, you can't get paid enough. Nobody could pay you enough money to compromise your values. you know and and we need more people to do that, because we can start our own businesses, we can start our own communities, whether in person, live, or remote. I mean, we don't need to play along with this illusion like these are the only people who are allowed to make decisions or who pull the levers of our lives and our and our decision making. Because at the end of the day, if you can, but the barter, I mean, we could just go back to the barter system. How are you going to barter for gas? I don't know. I mean, certainly there's things that need to be addressed, and there's solutions. But I think first off, it starts with not deluding ourselves into thinking that, oh well, how are we gonna how do you do it? How are we gonna, well, don't we need this and don't we need that? I mean, that's part of the illusion that these people put on you, is that you need to keep participating, you know. Oh, the government's gonna shut down. Oh, the budget, how are they gonna balance the budget? Like, it's all an illusion. I mean, if you had any sense, you would want the you would want the government to shut down, because look at what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, look at what they're doing. If there was a machine that was supposed to dispose of trash, and every once in a while you start putting trash in that machine and it started spitting that trash out all over the place, like, wouldn't you want it to break? You know what I mean? So, yeah. But at the end of the day, I do believe that there's more people who want change than who don't. And I think that it's just that some of these thoughts and ideas maybe haven't made it to enough people yet for this group of people to realize, like, hey, we're the majority, and even if we're not, the power that the power of intention. And again, check out Lynn McTaggart and her Power of Eight groups and what they accomplish. It's been said that only a small fraction of the population needs to have something in their awareness, and if they take intentional action, they can create change among the group. Sometimes that's called, it could be considered the hundredth monkey effect. But the idea is that not everybody even really needs to get it. Not even really everybody needs to participate. And one person, all of our hearts are connected. I mean, they've shown this scientifically with instruments, that one person can, in a coherent state, with their heart rate variability under control, and they're in a coherent state, they have the ability to impact those around them. All right. You can't make decisions for other people, and you can't force people to do things. But when you make decisions to put yourself in a good place, in a good space, and in a good frequency, you radiate positivity, and you empower people. You make it that much easier for them to make better decisions. So this group of people that I'm referring to, when they come together and when they intentionally take action and intentionally participate in conscious capitalism, which is already a thing, but conscious capitalism, when they're participating in conscious capitalism and they're participating in group meditations and group intentional settings and sending healing to people, this world is going to change so fast, so fast. So I'm not even worried about it. It's very exciting to be a part of, because again, the future is here, and it's just a matter of bringing people together. And because if you look at the bell curve of adoption, naturally not everybody's going to want to do it. I mean, I understand. I mean, I get how there's fear. I can see how there's fear and how people don't quite see it yet. But you have the early adopters who they're on board, and that's a small part of the larger group. But if you look at the bell curve of adoption, as we move through this process, eventually people are going to just be jumping on board because it's going to be so obvious that this is real, this is true. All right. Love you. Take care. Peace. Have a great day.